This beauty and smile were not available for me. Now I have put this portrait behind a curtain so that nobody sees it. But for you, I am showing it. Whenever I passed her, I was very serious. But this woman was smiling at me. He says, in the beginning, I asked for his daughter's hand in marriage. And for that he has agreed. And now he will not tell me no to any other gifts that I am going to ask him. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today, in this session, we are going to see My Last Duchess by Robert Browning for BCom second semester. In this module, we are going to see about the poet, the theme of the poem, the summary of the poem, and new words introduced in this poem. So, this is about the poet, Robert Browning. Robert Browning is a Victorian poet. He belonged to a time where Queen Victoria was ruling England. And he is a poet and a playwright. He wrote plays as well, along with the poetry. He is most famous for his dramatic monologues. What is dramatic monologue? Dialogue is the conversation between the two, where both of them speak. Mono means one, log means speech. So here, this man is known for creating wonderful pieces of art, wonderful pieces of poetry with dramatic monologue. And this poem, My Last Duchess, is one such example for his creativity. So the theme of this poem, My Last Duchess, is the Duke of Ferrara. He uses a painting of his former wife as a conversation piece. So this poem has a history. There is a story which is connected with this, My Last Duchess. The Duke of Ferrara is Alfonso II of Ferrara, where his wife mysteriously disappears. And she is a beautiful woman. Using this incident, Robert Browning writes a poem by the title, My Last Duchess. Coming to the summary of this, the poem starts like this. That's my last duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Will it please you to sit and look at her? I said, Frau Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. So here, a guest has come from the region where the Duke of Ferrara is getting a bride from. So here, he is introducing this painting to that guest. So he says, that's my last duchess painted on the wall as if she is looking alive. And who painted it? It is Frau Pandolf. His hands worked busily a day, and then there is this masterpiece. So now he asks the guest, will it please you to sit and look at the countenance, all the emotions captured in the photograph? Will it please you to look at this? The depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you. So he says, the beauty and smile which this portrait is giving, this beauty and smile were not available for me. Now I have put this portrait behind a curtain so that nobody sees it. But for you I am showing it. And seemed as they would ask me, if they dressed, how such a glance came there. So not the first you are to ask thus. So he says, everybody who looked at this picture, they asked somehow, how could such a beautiful smile, how could such an emotion come in this picture? So for that he says, sir, it was not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the duchess' cheeks. So actually he is implying that it is not his presence only, but some other men's presence also. So here he starts telling that her character was such that she was getting that kind of smile when men are present around her. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's breast too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. So she used to blush whenever people commented on her. And at that time, when this portrait was being painted, the painter was commenting on her. She was feeling happy for those comments. So those comments are these: her mantle laps over my lady's breast too much, and the paint could not produce the color of her body. So whenever this was said, she used to feel very happy. Going, he also says, such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. This man says she had a beautiful heart, but this heart was easily impressed by every man. And how could this man tolerate this kind of woman? So he says she liked whatever she looked, and her looks went everywhere. The king is not happy. He says she liked everything she looked at. She was impressed by everything. So she was easily impressed. My favor at her breast. The king had given a brooch to wear at her breast. The droppings of the daylight in the west. She was happy for the evening sun. She was happy for my gift. The bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her. She was happy for this fool who brought 2 cherries from the orchard, the gift which can't be compared in value. And she also liked to ride on white mule on the terrace. In order to spend time, she had a mule on the terrace. She liked that to show. So she liked everything. Therefore, she was very happy. And all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech. Why was this man very harsh on this woman? Because this man considers she was treating everyone or every gift equally. So this could not be tolerated by this man who was a king. So approving speech or blush at least, she thanked men. Good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900-year-old name with anybody's gift. So she is thanking every man. She is expressing her happiness by comparing his family's 900-year-old name to that of those common things. He considers his family was great. It was ruling Ferrara for many years, 900 years. And she is equating the name of my family to all these simple things. Who would stoop to blame this sort of trifling? Now the king says, who would stoop, who would bend to convince her that she is doing something wrong? He says, even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say just this or that in you disgusts me, here you miss or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessened, so nor plainly said her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse. This man says, even if you had the skill to convince her through your words, that itself is like bending to her wishes. She wants you to bend to her level and make you understand the thought. Even then would be some stooping. So even then, when you think of convincing her about your emotions or thoughts, it is like bending to her. Never stoop, and I chose never to stoop. I chose never to bend to her wishes. I did not want to talk these matters with her. I wanted her to understand the situation. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile. Whenever I passed her, I was very serious, but this woman was smiling at me. Who would consider this behavior of hers as queen? So this man tells, I was very serious, but this woman was smiling whenever I passed her, but I was very serious and I did not laugh. This grave I gave commands. So this smiling went on whenever I just passed in front of her. I wanted her to understand the seriousness, but she never understood. She used to just smile, and this smile grew. Now I could not tolerate. I gave commands. Then all smiles stopped together. When I gave commands, all smiles stopped together. Here, the poet is telling that the man gave commands, orders to execute her, where her smiles stopped forever. There she stands as if alive. Will it please you rise? We will meet the company below then. So he tells about this woman. I gave commands, she is put to death. Now all her smiles stopped. Now look at the portrait. She is looking as if she is alive. Then he asks the guest to stand up. We will go down. We will meet the company which you have brought. I repeat, the count your master's known munificence is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. So he tells the guest that I know your master's generosity, where he has considered all. Now, I know your master's, now, I know, he says, I know your master's generosity. He is good for giving gifts, and he will say no to anything that I ask for in terms of dowry. So, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Now he says, in the beginning, I asked for his daughter's hand in marriage, and for that he has agreed, and now he will not tell me no to any other gifts that I am going to ask him. He is known for his generosity. So he is praising the other man. Together we go down, sir. Now we will go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which class of inbergs cast in bronze for me. Now, while going down from the first floor or from his palace, he shows him one statue which was made out of bronze. In this bronze statue, God Neptune is trying to control the seahorse, which indicates the power of the god who is a male, and he compares that queen to be the seahorse, where there is indirect reference that he wants to control women. He was not a good man with women. He wanted them to follow all his orders and be like slaves and understand the family name's reputation. So through this poem, Robert Browning has dug deep into the emotions of a feudal king. And also he has written this poem to express the feeling of this man, where he is very much happy about his state of mind. And he is also very proud of his family name. So this is the summary of My Last Duchess, a portrait on the wall about which the speaker speaks about his relationship with the queen, how she was put to death, what caused her putting into death, then what is he going to do in future? That is, he is going to get married to a new bride. If you consider this, when he was telling all these to the guest who has come, he is indirectly giving a warning to the future bride, a masked threat to the future bride's behavior, how she should behave in his place. So new words in this poem are munificence, that means extremely generous. Forsooth means indeed. Trifling means trivial, which is not so important. Then countenance, the expressions on the face, how it was painted. Then drust means date, till date. Many people have asked the same question. That is the word which was there. With this, we come to the end of the poem. I hope you have understood what Robert Browning has tried to bring in to his poetry. He has tried to express the view of a feudal king about women. How a queen should be. The king is so harsh in his treatment. He would have talked the matter over with the queen, but he did not choose that path. He says, even if I chose to talk to her, it is like bending to her wishes. And I chose not to stoop. So you have to remember all these quotations when you want to write it in the examination. So summarize the poem. If you have a question to summarize the poetry, give the summary of the poem first and then write your opinion in the end in a paragraph, 5 to 6 lines. Write what did you think about the poem. This would make a difference from the other students. So this would also bring you extra marks in your examinations. Keeping all these things in mind, we will meet in the next session with a new poem. I wish you all the best. See you all in the next session. Thank you.